the funny music master with rhymes so true. From sudden death roots to funk so star. Devo Spice is here and he's raising the bar.
So, hey, when was the first time you met Dr. Demento?
I met him in 1999. We had just moved to New Jersey, and I found out he was doing a live appearance at a small venue in New York State, just across the New Jersey border, technically upstate, but not that far outside of New York City.
Right.
I don't remember the name of the place, but he was there doing his Festival of Dementia, and I emailed him and I was like, I'm going to be there. It'd be great to finally meet you in person. And he was like, hey, do you want to perform South Park Junkie during my show? And I was like, sure, okay. So I sent him the instrumental, and actually no, I gave it to him like on CD when I showed up, and he called me up on stage, and it was, this was not a venue designed for a rap act. So I'm literally standing behind a podium with like a microphone stuck, here. And I'm just rapping South Park Junkie, which was my hit song at the time, the year before. And it was great. So that was my first time meeting him.
How did it feel? I mean, you didn't grow up, established, you didn't grow up listening to it like I did, but like,
yeah,
obviously he's a kingmaker of comedy too.
Yeah. I mean, when I was a kid, I discovered Dr. Demento because my mother one Christmas was walking around the house singing "I Want a Hippopotamus for Christmas," and nobody else in the family believed her when she told us that was a real song that she remembered hearing on the radio. We were like, no, that can't possibly be her. Like all indignant, like marched us to the mall. And it happened to be the year that Dr. Demento's box set came out. And we didn't know it was a box set at the time, but she found Volume 6 Christmas on cassette. And it had "I Want a Hippopotamus for Christmas" on it. And I mentioned this in the song Halls of Dementia, that, we never doubted my mother again after that. But then from there, we bought the entire box set, which I have right there still. And that was how I learned about who Dr. Demento was. And that was when I joined the Demento Society and stuff. But, that was 5 or 6 years before I was ever able to hear the show.
Oh, heartbreaking. Sorry. I had a crappy radio signal too, but at least I did get to listen. And the interesting thing was, and I want to talk to you about your personal life, and I'll open it up with mine. When I met my wife originally, we sat down and we were talking about music, and I said, well, she used to listen to Dr. Demento, and she'd be like, Fish Heads? I was like, yeah, did you listen to Dr. Demento too? And that's when I knew I had the right woman. Does your family life encompass your music where you're like, hey, we're the same people in a lot of these ways?
I mean, not anymore, but when my wife and I first started dating, like the first time I was in her dorm room, I looked at her cassette collection and she had a half a dozen Weird Al cassettes there. And I was like, all right. And I think she had one of the Dr. Demento compilations too. I don't remember. But so that was kind of, something over early on. She has never liked my music. So, she still doesn't like my music.
At least she's honest.
She has told me, yeah, she has told me she likes the songs where I don't rap so much. I mean, well, part of the thing is my wife is hearing impaired, and hip hop has a lot of bass, and the bass tends to hurt her ears. So, I can understand that.
Fair enough. But at least she's honest. I mean, instead of, yeah, no, I like that. That's good. This is what, my wife is also brutally honest. I don't like that. Why do you keep doing that?
Well, it's funny. I've gotten into filmmaking recently, and I showed my wife one of my short films, and her reaction was, that wasn't as bad as I was expecting it to be. That was her honest reaction.
You need that in your life. You absolutely need someone in your life that like, this is what I think. Sorry if it doesn't make you happy, but it's the honest truth. You wrote a song, and I had to ask you this. You wrote a song in your sudden death days called "Getting Old Sucks." And unfortunately, I haven't listened to that song, but I just wonder how you feel about that song now.
Oh, it gets more true every year. I wrote that song shortly after I turned 30, when I bent over to tie my shoes and I pulled a muscle in my back. And I was like, that's stupid. Like, of all the ways to injure yourself, that is one of the dumbest. And I just said, getting old sucks. And I'm like, oh, there's a song in that. And then we just went from there.
I have a similar injury. I pulled a groin muscle, and I mean, if you've ever pulled one, it hurts a lot. And I did it while making a slight right turn into a Kohl's department store, while walking. And it just suddenly hurt.
Funny music related. The Arrogant Worms have a phenomenal song about pulling your groin. It's called "I Pulled My Groin." So look that up if you haven't heard it.
Look it up. You're also a member of a group called Cirque de So What, which I'm bringing up because I love the name. I love the name. Whoever came up with that, high five all around for that. That's amazing. Can you tell me a bit about that group and what you guys do and, well, why?
Yeah, so Cirque du So What is a sketch comedy group.
Okay.
It started as something that Shoebox of Worm Quartet wanted to do because he had always wanted to get into sketch comedy. He reached out to Luke Ski, and the two of them worked on a sketch together, recorded it, and then at some point they invited me to join because they thought I would be a good addition to the group. So then the three of us started working on sketches, and we wrote a whole bunch of sketches. We figured at some point we'll record them, and then at some point, like shortly before we decided to get together to record, we invited Chris Mazzalesta of Power Salad in because he's a voice actor and he can do all these cool voices, and he's also, you know, a phenomenal musician, and like we could use someone of his talents in this group. And in 2010, the four of us got together and we recorded our first album, which was 5 years in the making, which is why the first album is called Procrastinators of the Apocalypse. And there is some damn funny stuff on that album, if I do say so myself. I am so proud of the Cirque du So What stuff. I mean, it's very
way to go. And there are tracks for free on fump.com, correct?
There are some on the Fump. Those are the slightly more musical ones because we try to keep the Fump music oriented. So the tracks that either mention songs or have a song in them somehow, those are the ones we put up on the Fump. The rest of them are at cdsw.bandcamp.com, or if you just, nobody can spell Cirque du So What. So what we did was we registered baconnipples.com, and that redirects to our Bandcamp page.
I love you guys.
That was something that Luke Ski improvised while we were recording the album. We were like, go to cirquedusowhat.net for all that, and we realized like nobody can spell that, and Luke was like, or go to baconnipples.com, and I was like, I'm gonna register that and have it redirect, and I did. So
that was a brilliant move, actually, on all those parts. And Bacon Nipples is no doubt going to be worth $1 million in a couple of years. You know, the old domain.
I'm sure.
Yeah. So what do they call that? This is where I depend on Zaz to come in and correct me. Squatting. Yes. Domain squatting. It's been a long time since we've had terms like that.
Sorry, I'm a bit delayed. I was looking up baconnipples.biz. So
you can have that one. I don't have any use for that one.
I want edu. I want the edu of that. I want to get into some of the stuff that you're doing now and the other stuff like directing, acting, writing. But before I do, I love the fact that you are an actual nerd. It's not just nerdcore. I think that's the one thing that's awesome about that genre, because I don't want to put you in one genre. I think that's also silly a lot of the time. But with nerdcore, you kind of have to be genuine. You have to know what you're talking about. And you've done songs about Spider-Man, South Park, Doctor Who was a huge hit for you. You've done Star Trek.
Did a whole album
Marvel
about Doctor
Universe. Who. Yeah, whole album. What other nerd projects do you want to tackle? What things are you into now that you're also? Yeah, you mentioned earlier the Upside Down. What the heck is that? Stranger Things.
Stranger Things.
Yeah, I remember shows by something about them instead of like the Archie Bunker show. Is what I grew up with, but apparently it's called something else. The what other genres or sci-fi franchises do you want to take on someday, or are you working on? You just can't quite get it just yet, but you will.
Well, I have more Doctor Who songs in the works. I still need to do a Jodie Whittaker song. I need to do a Shooty Gatwa. I'm probably going to do a short song for the reprise of David Tennant. And I'm not sure what I'm going to do from there, but one of my favorite franchises that I have not written a song about yet for some reason is Nightmare on Elm Street. And I'm kind of surprised that I haven't. Although
I like that idea. I like that idea.
Yeah, I do a verse as Freddy on an upcoming song for somebody else. So that's a bit of a teaser. But I would love to do a Nightmare on Elm Street song. I did a Friday the 13th song a dozen years ago. Parody of Friday by Rebecca Black.
Hey, she's apparently released an album, I think this year or last year, that's doing actually all right. I'm happy for her in that. Like, a lot of people don't get the chance to do that. I was wondering, I always had an idea for a Stargate song where it's just they just continuously go through the wormhole and continuously go through the wormhole and continuously go, like, just one of those things, like, and then we go through the wormhole again, and then we go through the wormhole again.
Stargate is one of those shows that I watched a lot, but I don't know the lore well enough to do a song about it. The other shows would be Buffy the Vampire Slayer is one of my favorite shows of all time. I have not done a Buffy song, and now that the show is coming back, there's a good opportunity. Yeah. I probably should. And the other one is Farscape, but I would have to rewatch that entirely before I wrote anything, because
but that's not a bad
holy
thing.
Crap, that show was not at all.
Yeah, like
Farscape is the only show I've ever experienced where it actually took effort to watch and it was worth it. You know,
I had to get around the whole Muppet thing at first. I'm like, I like Jim Henson's stuff, or his whole business, but I wasn't ready for Rigel to be a puppet. Like I wasn't. It took a while, and then once you get into it, and like it's the writing behind everything, it's the character and the character acting behind everything that I was like, this is amazing.
Yeah. I started watching Farscape at the worst possible time. I came in when Crichton had been split into two different people. And so at 1 week he's on one ship, and the next week he's on there's a different version of him on the other ship. And I'm like, what is happening? Like, did I miss an episode? Is this a rerun? And I'm looking it up in the listings. I'm like, no, these are new episodes and I'm watching them in order. What is happening? And it took me forever to figure it out.
Yes, and they did not go out of their way to explain it, except for I think when it initially happened, and then at the end, like, which is, I love that writing. I love, like, you got to work for this show.
Yeah.
So hey,
Phenomenal
speaking of work, you are more than just a comedy music writer. You are more than just a writer. You direct.
I have a
recently
problem.
Done a short. Listen, creativity is an amazing thing.
I've done a few shorts.
Tell me about your shorts and what you're delving in on now.
Yeah, I have this kind of creative itch that whenever I see something really cool that somebody else has made, I want to have done that. So, like, that's how I got into rap. I heard that Grandmaster Flash song. That's how I taught myself how to draw. I went to school for illustration, and one thing that I've always wanted to do my whole life was, make my own movies. And 3 times, once in high school, once in college, and then once about 5 years after college, I tried to do it. And I actually started filming with my friends and stuff. And then all 3 times I got blown off by the lead actors and the project fell apart. And the mistake I made was I was my friends. I was not using actors. And the thing is, when you're hanging out with your friends who are not really the creative types, they'll be like, yeah, it'd be cool to make a movie. Let's make a movie. When you start getting into it, they're like, wait a minute, I have to memorize lines. I have to show up at what time? We got to do, this is work, and they didn't want to do it.
Yeah. I don't know if your band experiences like that, but a lot of bands start like that. Hey, let's get together. Let's be in a band. And it's like, well, let's drink beer while we're together. And then it becomes, let's drink beer instead of work on it. And you got into the band for the wrong reason. Yeah. Have a great one. Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful night. Be safe out there. Treat each other well.